Excellent. Yo, what's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are good. This is 2 in the morning, by the way. Anyone not show up on this live, I'll ask them what the hell they're doing up this early in the morning. You know, I was going through some news on the market, on the financial market, stocks and stuff. Bitcoin, obviously, it's crazy, it's surging. But I thought of just reacting to some videos, or just watching some videos rather. I came across this history. I also watched Trump's roundtable meeting. What's going on in the US? Ooh, there's also another story. Actually, let's watch this one. Zambia Copa. What's happening in that space? I think it was this. Is this true? French I'm Zambian. I know I'm proud of my country. It's a very beautiful country. Be proud of your country, proud of Ukumafu.
We know the benefits that come out of there, jobs for our youthful population, skilled, non-skilled, semi-skilled if you like. Number two, business opportunities for our partners, investors, but also for the domestic businesses. It's very important that if we are driving the growth agenda, that we take care of issues relating to creating opportunities for domestic.
This is a clip from ZNBC. I watched the news the other day. So the headline is
of what the mines is able to bring. Essentially, that's why we call for these investments.
The world woke up to a financial earthquake, one that began not in New York, not in London.
Sounds like an AI recording. Sometimes these videos are always, So Zambia shocks global markets, stops 8 trillion copper exports, US and European industries crashing. By the way, obviously, this industry would crash if Zambia has really stopped exporting copper, because copper is used in everything. This device, the phones we use, skyscrapers, every single thing. Copper is a component of infrastructure. So let's hear the perspective, because I heard this about a few days ago, but then a lot of people have been talking about it. But let's understand, because I thought we had debt and the copper was paying for it. So let's hear.
But in Lusaka, Zambia, a single announcement, and within 24 hours, copper prices surged to record highs. American factories slowed down. European automakers panicked. Tech giants like Apple, Tesla, and Intel started ringing alarm bells. Because Zambia, the quiet heart of Africa, had just done the unthinkable. It announced a total suspension of copper exports until fair trade deals, transparency, and local beneficiation were implemented. To the West, this wasn't just an economic decision. It was an...
This is a very bold move. It's a very bold move, and it's going to bring back a lot of cash flow into the economy, If this is what's actually happening, and if the plan is for us to manufacture and export the finished goods, our GDP is going to grow crazy. If this is the actual plan, it's going to be mad.
Existential threat. For decades, Zambia has supplied the world with copper, the red metal that powers modern life. From the wiring in your phone to the batteries in electric cars, to skyscrapers and power grids, copper is everywhere. And now, that supply chain had been cut off. In boardrooms across the US and Europe, executives whispered the same question. How could Africa do this? But for Zambia, and for Africa, this was not revenge, this was redemption. After decades of exploitation, of wealth leaving the continent while poverty stayed behind, Zambia's leaders finally said, enough. This is the new Africa, bold, unapologetic, and ready to take control of its destiny. And as this story unfolds, you'll see how this one decision, to stop copper exports, could reshape the global economy, redefine Africa's role on the world stage, and trigger the biggest power shift of the 21st century. For decades, Zambia was known as the world's second-largest producer of copper, yet one of the poorest nations on Earth. Foreign corporations, backed by Western powers, mined billions in copper while leaving behind communities trapped in poverty and pollution. But under new economic reforms, Zambia decided, no more raw exports. President Hakainde Hichilema's administration announced a strategic export freeze, demanding local processing of minerals before export, new royalty and taxation systems favoring Zambian citizens, partnership with other African states under the Pan-African Minerals Alliance. This wasn't an isolated move, it was part of a continental awakening. Zambia's decision follows the footsteps of Zimbabwe's lithium ban, DRC's cobalt restrictions, and South Africa's platinum control. Across Africa, leaders are realizing exporting raw materials keeps the continent poor, so they're flipping the table, refining locally, exporting finished goods, and demanding that the world pays fair value. And this terrifies the West, because 80% of the materials used in electric vehicles, semiconductors, and renewable energy systems come from Africa. Without Zambia's copper, without DRC's cobalt,
that I want to listen to. The African
The copper flows beneath Zambian soil like liquid sovereignty. Yet for decades, foreign corporations have extracted billions while Zambians remain among the poorest people on Earth. Today, as we witness the magnificent transformation sweeping across the Sahel under leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a critical question emerges. Can Zambia break free from the neo-colonial chains that bind its mineral wealth to Western boardrooms? Welcome back to the channel where we celebrate authentic African leadership and examine the relentless march toward continental sovereignty. What you're about to discover will fundamentally change how you understand resource extraction, economic warfare, and the ongoing struggle for African liberation in the 21st century. Zambia sits atop one of the world's largest copper reserves, a treasure that should make every Zambian prosperous. Instead, this nation of 19 million people watches as multinational corporations extract their birthright while IMF structural adjustment programs strangle their economy. The parallels to Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger before their revolutionary transformations are unmistakable, and the lessons from the Sahel's bold reclamation of sovereignty offer a blueprint that demands serious examination. The copper industry in Zambia tells the quintessential story of neo-colonial exploitation. After independence in 1964, President Kenneth Kaunda understood that true sovereignty required...
I mean, we already know this history, so let's see. Let's try and... Where did the fuck we can?
mining companies that had operated with colonial-era mentalities, while Niger reclaimed control over its uranium resources from French nuclear giant Areva. These weren't emotional decisions. They were calculated strategic moves by leaders who prioritize African dignity over Western approval. Zambia's current president Hakainde Hichilema represents the continuation of neoliberal policies that have failed Africa for 40 years. His administration's relationship with mining corporations mirrors the comprador capitalism that keeps Africa dependent and underdeveloped. While Hichilema speaks of economic growth, the metrics that matter most to ordinary Zambians continue deteriorating. Poverty rates remain catastrophically high, while copper revenues enrich foreign shareholders. The
Is it live? Is it live?
contrast with authentic African leadership couldn't be starker. When Captain Traoré addresses the Burkina Bay people, he speaks of breaking dependency cycles and building genuine prosperity. His government's agricultural policies, mining reforms, and Pan-African partnerships demonstrate what happens when leaders prioritize their people's welfare over Western financial markets. This isn't about personality, it's about fundamental ideological orientation toward liberation versus continued subjugation. Zambia possesses every advantage necessary for economic transformation. Beyond copper, the country holds significant cobalt reserves essential for renewable energy technologies. Its agricultural potential rivals any nation on Earth with.
Then before that, this also looks like an AI kind of situation. I know a lot of people are making AI YouTube channels. Do you want to close this player? Yes, please close it. Where's my charger?